Hi everyone, good morning. I am about to teach you how to make biscuits. So what you're going to need today are 3 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and I have my salt, sugar, cream of tartar, baking powder, and some very, very cold butter. You'll also need milk and an egg. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do it in my food processor today. Now if you don't have a food processor, you can also do it in a stand-up mixer, or you can just cut it in like you would pie, flour and butter together, or with forks or knives or whatever you have handy. But today I'm using my food processor just to make it a little easier for me, really for cleanup. So I had some extra flour in this jar that I usually have a huge jar of flour, but I don't like to mix my flour, so I had some leftover flour of a different kind, and I'm going to use that up first, or as much as I can. So it's we wanted to use about a cup, and it's okay if it gets on my counter because I'm going to use it to roll out the dough. So I'm a little short of a cup, so I'm going to add a little bit to the top. I kind of want to make sure that it's level. That's give or take a cup. I'm going to put it into my food processor, and now I'm going to start just coming in here and getting a cup of flour. So what I like to do is kind of move the flour around, get it all nice and loose, and then I'll pick it up, and then I'll grab my spatula, you could do it with a knife, and just clear the top off. Okay, so that makes for an even cut. So we're going to do 3 of those. Then I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar, and I've already used my tablespoon, the largest one, and I've put 3 tablespoons of sugar in here. So I'm just going to toss it in. I'm going to put a ½ teaspoon of salt, and I'm using kosher salt. Again, we buy these in big quantities, that's why we use them and put them in different containers. And then I'm going to do 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure I'm using the right one. And the same thing goes for the baking powder. I'm going to just level it off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 teaspoons is also equivalent to 1 tablespoon, just so that you all know. And ½ teaspoon of cream of tartar. Now, if you don't have cream of tartar, don't worry about it. This kind of helps just stabilize the dough. But I'm going to do ½ teaspoon of cream of tartar. So now that we have all of our dry ingredients, I'm going to put the lid on and kind of just give it a little mix. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just get my stuff out of the way. So now what I want to do is I want to cut in my butter. So I'm using Finlandia just because I've had it here in my refrigerator and it's really cold, and I'm only going to need 3/4 of a cup. So this entire block is 1 cup, so I'm just going to cut on the 1/4. Each little section here is 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. So I'm going to use 3 of those sections, which is 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4 for all the boys and girls that are watching today. And I'm going to leave out 1 of the 4ths. So I'm going to have to cut that. And here is where fractions are important when you come to cooking and baking. So I'm going to cut on the line here. It's like a ruler. And we're going to save that for something else. So if you're using sticks, it would be 1.5 sticks of butter. And I'm just gonna help it along. You could even freeze your butter because that stops the butter from breaking down too much, because we want to still see the butter inside the flour. So I'm helping it along. Just so it's gonna be really quick. I'm gonna put it all in here. And I'm gonna pulse it. Can y'all see? I'm gonna pulse my butter into the flour. And what we want is we want the butter to be in pea size. And I think we're about there. So we still have, if you see, well, this one we might need to pull some more, but you see the chunks of butter, but in some other areas, look, they're about pea size. So that's what we're trying to get to. Let me pulse a little more. We still want to see those chunks in there, so I don't want to do too much. So again, if you see a big chunk, just cut it into pieces. I think that's about good. Now I'm gonna move this out of the way, and I'm gonna put my liquid ingredients, or my wet ingredients, and it's 1 cup of milk and 1 egg. And then I'm gonna kind of whisk that together. I should have gotten a bigger measuring cup. Just gonna kind of whisk it together. And my oven right now is set to 450. It has to be really, really hot. So it's already set. I did that before I started. I forgot to let y'all know. So here's my wet. And I'm gonna put my lid back on. And I'm gonna open the top. I put it on backwards, I think. I hate when I do this. I do this all the time. And Matt gets mad at me. I always have to get some kind of a kitchen glove to help me unlock it. There. And I'm gonna slowly and quickly pour the liquid in. So I'm gonna start pouring it in, and I'm gonna pulse. And what we want is the dough to kind of come together into a ball. Here it comes. And do y'all see how it doesn't really matter if you have those butter chunks, because when you're mixing again, they'll cut up. Again, it's stuck because I didn't put it on correctly. Goodness gracious. There. Sorry for that. And now I have a little scraper, pastry scraper that I'm going to use. And I'm going to flour my surface. Kind of move this out of the way. getting everything out. And I'm using this because I don't want the warmth from my hands to melt that butter. So I'm gonna try not to use my hands as much as I can. So I'm gonna kind of just pat the dough. Okay, and so now I'm gonna have to use my hands, but just wanted to make sure. So now I'm just gonna kind of knead it, not too much, and I'm gonna pat and then put over. And then I'm gonna move it and pat over. And what that's gonna do is gonna create the layers of biscuit in the biscuit. We wanna see those layers. So that's what I'm gonna do. And once I get it to a spot that I want, flip it over, make sure my rolling pin is floured. And I'm gonna start just rolling it up quickly. So at this point, I want to have a pretty thick biscuit, so I'm going to maybe do like 1/4 of an inch thick. And here's another bench scraper, going to kind of feel for it. Now at this point, I like rectangle biscuits, but if you wanted round ones, you could cut it. So I have some that I have this little biscuit cutter or cookie cutter, and then you could just push straight down. Do not twist the cutter. That will stop the biscuits from rising. So just press straight down. Okay, and then the rest I'm just gonna do, like I said, rectangles, because I like rectangles for a sandwich. And I'm just gonna see that it's a little uneven. And we're not being fancy here, so as much as you can get. Let's see. I think I'm going to do and I might have to, I'm gonna put these together so I can make a new batch. And I have my pan ready with my sill pat. Leftover dough, flour and dough. Again. It's a pretty day today. I got some sun. It was 32 degrees yesterday, and it was snowing and raining early in the morning. Then it just turned to slush, and then it rained all day. So I'm sort of glad that we got some sun today. It makes me feel better. Okay, so here I'm just going to do some squares and do this last round. Okay, we'll put that dough on the side just so it won't waste. Make little balls. And we'll see how this one is going to come out. I'll show you that it won't come out that good because I've handled it too much. So here we are. This is our pan that's going to go into our 450-degree oven, and I'm going to check it at 10 minutes.